So God was wearing like a mask all the time or something? I mean, maybe, but you wouldn't think God would need to. He's probably immune to COVID. He's God. And he suddenly puts in a request to see the full glory of the Lord. It's like, full frontal, baby. That's what Moses wants, that pervert. It turns out that God is a bit shy, though. Maybe he's got a small willy.
What?
Just before we get into today's video, let me say that it's brought to you by the legends over at Magellan TV. What is Magellan TV? You've probably heard me talk about it before, but it's a wonderful documentary streaming service for all of you big brains out there. Yes, you. Their mission is to tell the great stories that define the human experience. With more than 3,000 excellent programs available on Magellan, it's hard to stop watching once you start. 3,000 is a lot. You'll probably never run out. But good news, even if you're massively addicted to television, you'll be fine because they add new stuff every week, which is good. And what's one thing you love about paid streaming services? No ads, just content. No ads at all. Brilliant. Now, if you're ready to dive into the holiday season, I mean, it's November, but yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Head on over to Magellan and check out this documentary, The Legend of Santa. It does feel a bit weird recommending this in November. But, what's the other one? Battlefields of the World Wars? That's pretty classic. Or another one here, Combat Machines. It's all good stuff. This holiday season, you guys can take advantage of a special deal with Magellan by clicking the link in the description below. What can you get? Well, it's buy one, get one free, isn't it? You get an annual membership and you get one for free. That way you can give one to a mate and be like, yo, I got you Magellan for a year for free and absolutely got no benefit for myself. Except that would be a lie. Internally, you're like, yeah, I also got a year's worth of Magellan. It's like I bought it for myself and I got a gift that is free for you. Say that silently. Don't say it at all. Don't say it at all. Just give the gift of Magellan and enjoy some Magellan for yourself because it's buy one, get one free. Brilliant. Let Magellan hook you up. There's a link below. And now today's video. Hello everybody, welcome back to another brand new episode of Brain Blaze. What's this? Yes, I ran out of printer paper, so we're reading off an iPad today, which I always feel is a worse experience.
No, sir, I don't like it.
I mean, I have this, I say it's a worse experience only for this. Like, I read books on my phone, I read magazines on my iPad. I've got this fantastic app. This is not an ad read. It's called, what's it called? It's called, oh Jesus, where is this thing? It's called Readly. And you just have this crazy selection of magazines. And it's like, I don't know, it's like $7 or $10 a month or something crazy. And there's just a huge selection of magazines. I'm like, wait, because magazines, you go to the store, it's like, how much is this? It's like, oh, it's £6. How much is a book, motherfuckers? Like, what's going on? But yeah, this is fantastic. It's not an ad read at all. So let's just get on with what are we talking about today? Why are you talking about things you're not getting paid to talk about, Whistle Boy? I'd never recommend anything unless I get cut a check.
Capitalist pig!
Craziest store, oh, speaking of getting cut checks. A company, they've been trying to pay me. It's been such a fucking hassle. And I was just like, guys, mail me a check. And so they do. And then my bank are like, we don't cash checks. And I'm like, oh, so I have to open a new bank account with a bank that is like operating in the 1970s that can actually cash a check. Fascinating fact, boy. Thank you for that insight. Brilliant. First world problems. I don't even know how to cash my checks.
Thank you so much for wasting my motherfucking time.
Craziest stories from the Bible is what we're talking about today. Danny writes the script. I will make it a little bit more and then Sam, yes he is, he's going to sprinkle in some of those finest vintage memes that you have ever seen. What? This craziest stories from the Bible. I think I said that already. I'm going to really enjoy this one because the Bible be crazy. Like, there's all sorts of I don't even know, like, I can't even think of one right now, but it's like,
Yeah.
No. And people are going to get all butthurt with this one, because they're going to be like, Simon, it is totally okay to, like, cut your sister's leg off if she looks at your father in the wrong way. It's like, what are you talking about? Bible, you're so crazy. It's entirely appropriate to discipline your children with a giant stick. It's like, oh my God, Bible, chill. The last thing I could remember before everything turns black was the sight of the basement ceiling tumbling towards my head. Wow, Danny, you're still alive, down. As I became lost in an avalanche of rubble and red Solo cups. Oh, I recently got rid of all my red Solo cups. I'd had so many. I kept like 20 in the cupboard and I recycled the rest of them. They're just here forever.
How dare you?
Magic spoon raining down on me from above. My final sensation was one of grim vindication. It's like just tasting that magic spoon. Just like scooping in those little morsels of joy with your tongue. This video is weird. I'd warned Simon several times about those rotted wooden beams. When I next opened my eyes, I was dressed in a pure white dressing gown and travelling up an escalator towards a set of pearly gates. I could hear the sounds of trumpets and harps and divine choral music in the background as I breathed in the sweet aroma of honey and pickled eggs. Danny, this sounds like this is just heaven for you, isn't it? Do you think heaven is customized to everyone? Because I'm sure like people back in the day, they were like into cherubs and shit. But I'll be like, yo, do you have that new Xbox or what? As I glanced towards the adjacent escalator, running in the opposite direction, I couldn't help but notice a poor guy with a lanyard around his neck bearing the words, Raid Shadow Legends, Marketing Department. He better be going to hell. When I finally arrived at the pearly gates, I found myself standing in line behind a queue of 10 dogs. The guy on the desk was lazily waving all the dogs through, but as I drew closer, he dramatically held out his hand to block my entrance. Order right there, buddy, he barked. I ascertained from his name badge that this slightly scruffy and disheveled individual puffing away on a lucky strike was called Saint Peter. La-dee-da. Saint. I politely asked him why I couldn't just walk through with the dogs. He replied, dogs get a free pass, everyone knows that, pal, but for every 10 dogs we let through, we have to consider letting in a human. Oh my god, we should start breeding dogs immediately. If this kind of from the Bible is actually factual, which obviously it's not, smash that dislike button. It'd be like, and we found this out, that only one human gets into heaven for every 10 dogs. Everyone on earth would be like breeding dogs, slaughtering dogs. It'd be like, how many dogs have you bred? 1,000? I've freed up 100 places in heaven. Eventually they'll have to accept all of us because we've slaughtered so many dogs. I'm ruining this for everyone, aren't I?
Oh God, kill me now.
That's how I would do it. That would be my big business play. And it'd be like, how old do the dogs have to get before we slaughter them? Just after birth? 6 months? Natural causes? Weird. I mean, why are we thinking about this? We've delved way too much into this. It sounds like the sort of territory where I get cancelled. Ah!
That's not my problem. It's yours.
So Peter began thumbing through a messy pile of golden scrolls on his desk until he settled his eyes on a scroll that he was seeking. Right, buddy, he said. Danny Seltzer, is it? Not massively promising. I'm not sure if Tesco Trevor really deserved that. Danny, what did you do to Tesco Trevor? And I've no idea what you thought you were doing with that bloody carbon monoxide detector. He blew a few smoke rings as he paused to wave a few more dogs through the gates. Then with a sigh, he turned to me and said, this is going to need a bit more work, buddy. Let me see. Have you devoted your life to studying and following the teachings of the Bible? I frowned. While I had read it at school, to be honest, I found a bit of it confusing. It wasn't as good as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, mate. Yeah, I had to read the Bible at school. It sucks. No, I mean, that's not true. That's not true. It's just written in this really old, weird language, but it did have some pretty cracking stories. St. Peter was visibly annoyed as he stubbed out his... It was a bit preachy, though, wasn't it? And I was like, why does every story have to have a lesson? Can't we just enjoy it for it just being a story?
The Bible.
This is the Bible.
You question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
No, I'm...
St. Peter was visibly annoyed as he stubbed out his cigarette on the desk. Confusing, lad. Confusing? It was all written down in perfectly clear Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Are you some kind of simpleton? You'd be like, St. Peter, you're speaking English. And he'll be like, this is heaven. Everyone speaks Latin. And there are cherubs everywhere. It's boring. He opened the drawer, pulled out a Kindle and tossed it over to me. Sorry, I've run out of printed copies this morning, but I've got the Bible on there. If you can point out anything I agree is confusing, I'll eat my own wings, here and now. Oh, St. Peter, you're going to be eating those wings. Because, I had wings for dinner last night. So tasty. I bet St. Peter's wings would be delicious.
Oh, shit.
The problem with the Bible is so confusing, right? Isn't this contradictory stuff because it was written by a bunch of different people? Like, it'd be like, okay, it's like if we got Harry Potter to be written and everyone gets to write their own chapter. So, okay. It's probably not going to be great. As I watched a few more dogs mooch through the pearly gates, I reasoned that I didn't really have much else to do today. Never insult a generic baldy. Yeah, you better watch it. I just got an email. It's good news. I'm buying a house, and they were just like, we're giving you a mortgage, facts boy. Yes! When you have to fill it, that's why it pings up. This is one of the problems with doing these on an iPad. It's like, ooh, interesting. I really want to read that right now, but I'm not going to. One of the things that apply for mortgages, it's like, what's your occupation? And I write to the guy who's like filling it out for me, like, you know, the advisor. And I'm like, look, I make videos on the internet. But if you want to write media professional in there, so it seems more likely I'll get a mortgage, that's probably advisable. It's like when I go through, nowadays when I go through like airports, don't go through airports anymore because, you know, COVID. I haven't literally traveled anywhere in 2 years. That's not true. I've been to a few places. But, yeah, nowhere I had to fill out like a visa form. And I always write like media professional. Nowadays I'm just like YouTuber because everyone knows what that means. Woo! Okay, why did we get onto that? Oh yeah, because I got an email from my mortgage guy. Not important. Let's carry on. Never insult a generic baldy. Baldy. Ooh, I got another email about an Autobahn script. That sounds fun.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
This is a huge problem. I should not use this iPad. Elisha was a wise, relatively young, and follically challenged gentleman who had recently celebrated his promotion to the job of officially endorsed prophet of God. That's pretty good. He spends a big chunk, I mean, if you're unofficially endorsed, or like, you know, an unofficial prophet of God, they just call you a cult leader. He spends a big chunk of the Bible just traveling around the land in circles under vague instructions from God. And his travels lead into a place called Bethel, which has largely fallen to the wicked forces of corruption, immorality, and heresy. You would not, I mean, although hearsay also a huge problem. You would need your wits about you in Bethel. It's a similar experience to walking home at night through Rotherham Town. Danny. There's nothing more dangerous than that. It's like, yeah, people have been like, yeah, Hellman's pretty dangerous. It's like, mate, have you been to Rotherham? Alone in the darkness and under constant threat of random attack. Sure enough, as Elisha was making his merry way through Bethel, he encounters a group of disenchanted, faith-trashing youths who feel that this God-botherer should just bugger off back to where he came from. Yes. They don't actually attack him or anything, they just taunt him and make fun of his boldness. Cry me a river, Elijah. As the Book of Kings describes it, literally dozens of children jump out from the bushes at Elijah and start chanting, "Get out of here, Baldy! Get out of here, Baldy! Get out of here, Baldy! Get out of here, Baldy!" So this is too much fun.
Stop it. Get some help.
Elisha isn't standing for any of that shit. In angry retaliation, he decides to curse all the kids in the name of the Lord. Sorry, let me do that again. In the name of the Lord! This prompts the arrival of two big female bears from the woods, holy shit, who promptly maul no less than 42 of the little sinners to death. Oh my god, Elisha can control bears with his mind. Elisha. This is Old Testament, right? This feels crazy enough to be Old Testament. Satisfied that his work is done here, Elisha then carries on traveling through Bethel while whistling a merry tune. I mean, look, dude, if you can control bears with your mind, why don't you just, or like if you're asking God to do that, why not be like, yo, God, why are you controlling those bears? Where's my hair? Bring it back. Come on, I look ridiculous. I don't have a perfectly shaped head like Fact Boy.
That's a little gay. Hold on.
It might seem a bit cruel to murder 42 local kids with the blessing of God just because they call you Baldy. It's not like Baldy bashing is mentioned anywhere in the 10 Commandments. It's the 11th commandment. Let's get it done! Thou shalt not bash those of bald-headedness. It's been suggested that the children mentioned in the translated King James Bible passage are actually young men, as the original Hebrew phrase for small boys could refer to anyone under the age of 30. Maybe that's what the Catholic Church has been getting wrong. They're like, no, we're not paedophiles, they were all under 30. Much under 30, you f***ing sickos.
Go to the church and ask God to forgive you.
What?
The cheerful religious website Got Questions. I'm sure there's a better joke in there. I know if I thought about it a bit more, there'd be a better joke than that for, like, you know, small boys, Catholic Church, under 30. There's gonna be a better joke in there. Maybe someone can have a crack at it in the comments. Someone funnier than me.
That's some pretty dark stuff.
The cheerful religious website Got Questions. Yes, got questions about all sorts of shit. And you definitely don't have the answers, Got Questions. Look, if you want answers, go to f***ing Quora. and stay out of the religious subchoras, or whatever they call them. Defends the actions of Elisha as they believe that the kids or young men weren't just mocking Elisha's bald head, they were disrespecting the prophet of God. Well, of course they were. They're disrespecting his bald head and he's the prophet of God. Does that mean we should have bears maul them to death? Obviously not, Bible. Stop trying to defend your crazy shit. Wait, was this the website actually? Wait, the website defends the actions of Elisha? Just be like, yo, the Bible's got some crazy shit in it, okay? Okay? That's going to be way more appealing to, like, religious people. No one actually thinks that they deserve to get mauled by bears because they were being a dick to a bald guy. Can you imagine how many people would be mauled by bears if that was the punishment for what I read in the YouTube comments?
But the people are retarded.
As they put it, the youths were more than likely over the age of 12. Oh, well, okay, that makes it fine then. Said the Catholic Church. Am I right, St. Peter?
Great job.
And the penalty for being mauled. There's a better joke in there. Why am I struggling to find the funny today? There's more to it. There's way better jokes. And the penalty for being mauled to death by bears was clearly justified. For to ridicule Elisha was to ridicule the Lord himself. Thanks for that, Got Questions, but I think that just leaves me with one more questions. The main one being, what the fuck? Danny, yes! Also, how about this fucking prophet of God, bald-headed dickhead? Come and get me, bears! I'm right here, bears! Where are you, bears?
That's a little gay. Hold on.
A gift for the in-laws. It'd be ironic if I'm out hiking in the woods this weekend, because I am going hiking in the woods this weekend, and I get mauled by a bear.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
Be like about 100,000 people suddenly sign up to the Bible. Or however you join religion. A gift for the in-laws. Asking your prospective father-in-law for his daughter's hand in marriage would often be a nervy and awkward experience. But for young David, the situation was a bit trickier than most. David was a dashing and heroic general working under King Saul, and he had already attracted a big fan base after knocking out Goliath in the first round. And in fact, the marriage arrangements might at first have seemed relatively straightforward, as it wasn't David who was asking for permission to marry King Saul's daughter, Princess Michal. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I just read those 3 paragraphs and absolutely paid no attention at all. I was like, oh my god, the Bible isn't interesting. What's going on? So there's a dude and he's working under King Saul. Let's just skip it and see if I pick up. King Saul was offering his daughter to David, but the offer came with an unusual condition. David had to first pay King Saul a bride price, which came in the form of a distinctive and very specific gift request. The king of Israel wasn't asking for an engraved tankard. Wait, who is this guy? Okay, I gotta go back and read it. Okay, I gotta go back and read it. Okay, I gotta go back and read it.
A few moments later.
Alright, cool, I'm up to date. Let's crack on. The king of Israel wasn't asking for an engraved tankard or a petrol lawnmower or a Wi-Fi enabled toaster. Why would you have your toaster be Wi-Fi enabled? What is he going to do? You can't like leave toast in it and then turn it on remotely because the toaster will go super stale. Why would you have a Wi-Fi toaster? It makes no sense. No, if young David wanted Princess Michal's hand, Michal, it's like Michael without an E at the end. He would first have to present the king with the gift of a few hundred fresh foreskins, taken from enemy Philistines. I'm vaguely familiar with this one, it's scary.
That's a little gay. Hold on.
And the king wanted them all in his desk by the very next morning, or the marriage was off. King Saul certainly drove a hard bargain. But a determined David went out with his soldiers that night on a murderous rampage, slaughtering and murdering hordes of Philistine men and filling up their sacks with trophies of the hunt to take back to the king. In fact, they got a bit carried away. By the time they'd finished, they'd collected 200 foreskins, which were probably still a bit warm by the time they were handed over to King Saul.
Sometimes, I pull on it so hard, I rip the skin.
Wait, why did they go overboard? Didn't he demand 200 foreskins? Oh, 100? He only wanted 100! And they got 200!
Especially since they're such good size and all.
I mean, I mean, I guess, you did over-deliver is a good thing. I mean, that's the only good thing in this crazy-ass story. I'm not sure. This one actually feels like a bit believable, though, because that's something that could happen, whereas the magical bears coming out of the woods to maul people who'd offended the bald guy, it's like, look, well, that's obviously fiction. So this feels like more of a New Testament thing rather than... Nah, it feels Old Testament, though, doesn't it? Because it's crazy. It's like the New Testament, yeah, it's crazy, but it's not like cutting off 200 foreskins crazy. That's some Old Testament. I'm not sure how King Saul verified that these were genuine Philistine foreskins rather than knockoff fakes acquired cheaply from the market, but he seemed more than impressed that David had brought back double the requested quantity. Well, you know what they say, 200 fake or non-Philistine foreskins, it's worth about 150 Philistine foreskins at the current market rates.
What?
And granted his daughter's hand in marriage, he was secretly seething though. Saul and David had previously endured a troubled relationship during which Saul had tried to kill David on more than one occasion. Oh, the problem was that the people of Israel were enchanted by the heroic deeds of David and weren't mad keen on the king. Saul felt that David was a threat to his throne and the whole foreskin hunt had simply been a deliberate act to try and get David killed, but he was too good. He managed to gather 200 foreskins. Well, he did have an army or something, didn't he? So if they were like, David, go out and get 200 foreskins and don't take your army with you. Unless David is built like the Rock or something, David's gonna get killed by the first guy. It'd be like, yo, get away from me, David. You can't have my foreskin. You weirdo.
You what?
Everyone who's David comes up, yeah, I'm gonna cut off your foreskin. I'm Jewish! I don't have a foreskin! Oh my god, Saul felt that I lost my place completely.
A few moments later.
Oh my god. It's so hard reading on the iPad.
In order to really create a new category of devices, those devices are going to have to be far better at doing some key tasks.
Distractions, losing my place. David would indeed ascend to the throne shortly afterwards. After Saul lost a battle against the Philistines, it was apparently rejected by God. The book of Samuel can't decide if Saul committed suicide in shame or if David came across a mortally wounded Saul and delivered a mercy blow. But the lesson here appears to be that it pays dividends to go the extra mile for the boss. You're goddamn right it does, Danny. And I mean, but the fact that you did it, I'm always like, Danny, can we make the scripts about 6 pages, 7 pages? And they're always about 11 pages.
If we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. These go to 11.
And I'm not sure if I'm happy about it. But you're definitely going the extra mile. You've probably noticed lately that, especially Sam, poor video editor Sam, he's like, Simon, why have the videos become so long? And it's like, I just gave up trying to keep them short, to be honest. Just absolutely gave up on it. Well, the message is that maybe you can still be king, even if you really can't count. The message definitely isn't, don't go out harvesting foreskins. It's not going to get you very far. Don't diss the talking donkey. There were apparently 2 talking animals in the cast list of the Bible. The snake from Genesis is probably the most famous of the 2, although he was widely believed to be Satan in disguise, so it doesn't really count as a talking animal. The talking donkey is a little harder to rationalize, though. He doesn't get a name in the book of Numbers, so we'll just call him Denzel. Okay. Why? Am I missing a joke? Denzel was providing the transport for the diviner or soothsayer Balaam, who was on a journey to either bless the people of Israel or curse them to damnation. It was a bit confusing, and we'll get back to that in a second. After a while, Denzel starts playing up. At one point, he swerves off the path and goes hurtling into a field. He later scrapes the leg of his rider against a wall, and then for an encore, he just lies down on the ground and refuses to budge another inch. Yeah, man, I'm so glad we have cars. Riding horses and is awful.
No, sir, I don't like it.
I've done it a couple of times in my life, and everyone's like, oh, riding horses is nice. Look at all those cowboys. Look at all those, I don't know. In Britain, the only people who ride horses are super posh people. And I'm always like, it just looks so uncomfortable and boring. And my wife is like, she likes horses. She's not one of these horsey people. But she enjoyed riding a horse occasionally as a kid. Because you know horsey people, they're horsey. And she's like, yeah, it'd be really nice, we can get our daughter to ride horses. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me? There's so many one, it's super expensive. Horses are expensive, and you have to live out in the middle of nowhere and keep them in a stable. And then she's like, well, we could just go to the horse place where they have the horses. And I'm like, well, then I got to get in the car and drive them somewhere. And I got no problem doing that. To fun that sounds enjoyable, like, to be a part of. Like, anything, even just random sports. I don't even like sports, but I'd much rather watch my daughter and son play football than I would have them ride horses, because I'm like, just watching the horses, so what's going? It's the horse doing all the work. It's really boring, and they smell, and you have to have all this weird equipment, and I'm sure it's dangerous, because you never hear like, oh yeah, Christopher Reeve, he broke his spine playing football. No, he fell off a horse, didn't he? Superman. How do you think my kids are gonna do? They're probably gonna be as weak as me.
Daddy, chill.
Rant over. Hope my wife doesn't watch this. Balaam eventually loses all his and he goes all Basil Fawlty. He starts beating Denzel with a stick while swearing at him and declaring that he would have killed the donkey if only he'd been carrying a sword. At this point, Denzel turns around and begins chatting to his master. His words run along the line of, "Oi, knobhead, take a chill pill. Maybe there's a good reason why I'm doing this. And put down that stick before I lose my temper." Oh, Balaam doesn't seem remotely surprised that his donkey is talking to him. And after a quick chat, he apologizes and they both put this fallout behind them. But it turns out that Denzel was actually saving his master's life. Balaam had been asked by a Moabite. It sounds like a measure of megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, Moabite, leader called Balak, to go and curse his enemy Israelites, as the soothsayer was known to have the power to either bless or curse with his word. Soothsayers aren't usually granted much respect in the Bible, but Balaam appeared to have a hotline to God. When he asks the divine creator for permission to curse the Israelites, God initially refuses, as he tells Balaam that his Israelites are instead to be blessed. Shocking news. When it's like, yeah. Can I spice or whatever it was your the people you like? And God's like, no, obviously not. Why would I allow for that? Did you not think this through at all? You're a soothsayer. You're not in good standing anyway, mate. Come on. When the Moabites later try to entice Balaam into carrying out a curse in exchange for great big bags of gold, the soothsayer checks in again with God just to make sure that he hadn't changed his mind about the whole not cursing the Israelites policy. And weirdly, this time God gives him permission to make the journey, but only if the soothsayer uses the exact words dictated by God upon his arrival. And then, just for shits and giggles, as soon as Balaam sets off on his epic donkey ride endorsed by Heaven PLC, God dispatches angel assassins to kill Balaam before he arrives at his destination. That's what you get when you ask twice. Learn that lesson now. Spit all over my iPad. Brilliant. And then, just for shits and giggles, as soon as Balaam sets off on his epic donkey ride, I have to say, one of the things that bothers me most is when I say something. And I don't know, I feel like a bit of a dick sometimes, but it's like, when it's someone who is doing something for me, or whatever. Or in a situation where I'm in charge, basically, and I'm like, I need it to be done this way. And they're like, okay. Someone says, can I do it this way? And I'm like, no, it needs to be done that way. And then they're like, can I do it this way? And I'm like, what? What? Do it the way I said, for Christ's sake!
I don't want to do it. I want to go home. I can't take the pressure of it. But don't you think any job interview...
I'm normally just I just quote. I do the most passive-aggressive thing. I just copy the text from the previous email and paste it as a quote text and send it. And I'm like, yep, that's how we roll, isn't it? Others claim, Sam's probably going to be doing that, what the hell is he talking about meme right now? Because I have no idea. I also lost my own train of thought. And I definitely lost my place in this stupid iPad. It was Denzel the talking donkey who spotted these angels on the path and kept going off the beaten track to prevent his master from getting killed. It's hard to see what God was supposed to be playing at here. Bible fans have suggested that Balaam shouldn't have felt the need to ask God a second time because more loot was being offered, and so he had it coming. Yeah, that does seem like the pretty obvious lesson here. Bible scholars are really a thing. I mean, it's not exactly super complicated. The Bible kind of lays it out. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't have asked twice just because there was more money. It pissed God off. Done. PhD in Bible scholars for me, mate. Others claim that God was speaking through the donkey, but that makes no sense to me. On the one hand, he's sending out angel hitmen to kill Balaam, and on the other hand, he's saving his life via the medium of a talking donkey. Yeah, those people are stupid who suggest that. It makes no sense. It's very obvious. Why are we trying to read too much into this? I think the lesson to be learned here is that business managers need to be more decisive and convey clearer messages to the rest of the workforce. It'd be no good at all if supermarket manager provided a list of purposefully ambiguous instructions, which could be interpreted in a million different ways. Is that a supermarket manager by any chance, Danny, named Trevor? OGBB! You can't help feeling a bit sorry for Balaam, though. He ended up completing the journey and blessing the Israelites on God's instructions, but he was later killed by the very people he had refused to curse for bags of gold during a battle and the occupation of the Moabite lands. The fate of the donkey is unrecorded. Oh no! I needed to know what happened to that donkey from Shrek. What's his name? Is he played by Eddie Murphy, or am I just imagining that?
Donkey! Donkey. 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 Donkey!
Is that dog? And who's the guy who plays Shrek? Is it Michael Myers? I haven't seen Shrek since I was about 4. It doesn't matter. Why are we talking about this?
Oh, that's not very nice. It's just a donkey.
The curse of the fig tree. I remember at school there was a big fig tree. Giant fig tree. And we never got to eat any of the figs, because as soon as the figs were like this big, we'd all pick them off the tree and throw them at each other. This is completely irrelevant to the story, but it's just like one of those memories that comes back to me. Like memories ever about fig trees. Not getting to enjoy the figs because we always just destroyed them. Children.
The fuck is he talking about?
According to the Gospels of Matthew and Mark. Also reminds me there were so many conker trees, horse chestnut trees at school. And you know how kids, they drill the holes in them and then you put a piece of string through it? I don't know if this is just a British thing. And then you try and destroy other people's by like, pah, pah. Maybe it's just a British schoolboy thing. It feels like the most British schoolboy thing ever. But instead of doing that, we'd just go out onto the field where all the conkers were and we'd just throw them at each other. Oh, I don't know why. It's very painful. We'd call it conker wars. It's only funny to me. It's only funny to me. Oh, bad times.
You see what I'm saying? You got to think, partner. You don't want to...
What the fuck are you talking about?
According to the Gospels of Matthew and Mark, Jesus and his gang of merry men were traveling to Jerusalem one day when they all began to feel a bit peckish. Help dog stands were still few and far between during biblical times, but Jesus reckons that he could knock up a quick lunchtime special when he spotted a fig tree with leaves. Well, of course you can, Jesus. Just eat the figs. There's probably not a bunch of kids who have picked them off and thrown them at each other. This looked quite promising, and if they had Jesus, you could smite them. This looked quite promising at first, but as Jesus drew closer, he noticed the fig tree bore no fruit. So is this school kids? They are around. So he did what any of us would do. He directly addressed the fig tree and demanded that it yield fruit for Jesus and his party of diners. I like to think that Jesus just screamed at the fig tree, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" Fig tree, learn some respect. So, surprisingly, the fig tree failed to answer, possibly because it was just a fig tree. So Jesus lost his temper and cursed the fig tree to death, causing it to instantly wither away before everyone's eyes. Sounds realistic. Now, this seems strangely harsh behavior on the part of Jesus. I don't know, Jesus does seem like a bit of a dick sometimes, doesn't he?
No one believes in me. Everyone put their money on Satan.
His disciples seem quite impressed, though, and the gospel seems to imply that Jesus was just demonstrating how everyone has the power to kill a fig tree if they have true faith. No, they don't. Look, I cannot demonstrate this because A, I don't have a fig tree, and B, I don't have true faith. And even if I did have both of those things, it's still not going to work. Look, I'm sure there's someone who's religious watching this and has a fig tree in your garden. Because, I mean, a lot of people watch this. I mean, not that many. But, like, you know, there's 100,000 people probably watch this video, right? A couple of stadiums full of people. Some of you are going to be religious. Even a smaller subset in the Venn diagram of things is going to have a fig tree in their garden. And I want you people... I mean, to be honest, it's shrunk down dramatically because this video is essentially just bashing on the Bible for a good hour. I want you to go out into the garden and yell at your fig tree and curse it to death. And I promise you, your fig tree will be absolutely fine. Report back to me in the comments. Some members of the Jesus Appreciation Society, or JAS, reckon that their hero was just taking a stand against the concept of promising more than you can deliver. The leaves on the tree grabbed the attention of Jesus, but it couldn't follow up on the misleading marketing. It's been suggested that Jesus was venting his anger against the Jews who had not accepted him as king. Then the people of Israel are sometimes represented as figs on a tree. Stupid Jews not accepting him as king.
I give up.
God damn it, Jesus, snap out of it!
That's honestly how I feel about people. Why haven't you accepted me as king yet? Disappointing. I'm gonna go yell at a fig tree. But it seems to me, I got something in my eye. It's not nice. Okay. I got it. There we go. I think I'm better. Nope. Okay. But it just seems to me as if Jesus was having a bit of an off day. This guy could apparently feed 5,000 people with a couple of fish and a few loaves of bread. You'd think he'd be able to rustle up a quick snack from a fig tree. You would, wouldn't you? And if he had the power to instantly destroy it, you'd think he would have the power to make it produce a few figs. Oh, science doesn't work like that, Danny. Obviously, I could destroy a fig tree using my big brain and an axe. But I can't, go to the fig tree and somehow reverse axe that and get it to give me fruit. It's just not going to happen. I suppose, with enough time and I could use fertilizers and maybe Google about how to get a non-producing fig tree to produce figs, and maybe I'd get somewhere. So I take it all back. I apologize, Danny, you're completely right. Perhaps even Jesus gets a bit grumpy when he's hungry. If his local branch of KFC ever runs out of chicken, I suspect he would just start pummeling the employees behind the counter and screaming at them. Do you know who I am? I'm f***ing Jesus, bitch! A new moon in heaven. It has to be said that the Bible is littered with even more continuity errors than Star Trek. Oh, f*** off, Danny. Star Trek is the perfect TV show. No continuity errors. Ever. Except all the time. I'm rewatching Star Trek Voyager right now from the beginning because there's this great podcast called The Delta Flyers with two of the cast members from that show, and they talk about making it. So I listen along and I watch Star Trek Voyager. It's taken me forever because I can watch about 5 minutes a day because that's how much free time I have in my life. I'm always looking because now you can Google stuff, and they're always like, yeah, we'll get there at warp factor 9. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem... Wait, you go all the way back? Then why didn't... It's so confusing. It's like the warp thing's just all over the place. Like, did you not come up with a chart and be like, that's how fast it is? Because you just seem to disobey it all the time. Very disappointing.
What the hell is even that?
This is what happens when you get a big team of different writers working on a project, but they're never given a chance to meet up and exchange notes. Moses would always seem to enjoy an unusually close relationship with God, despite God's occasional random threats to kill him. God was always a bit funny like that. There are some sections of the Bible which declare that Moses often spoke face to face with God, as one speaks to a friend in real life or on a Zoom meeting. But then later on, we're told in Exodus that Moses has never actually seen God's face. So God was wearing a mask all the time or something? Maybe, but you wouldn't think God would need to. He's probably immune to COVID. He's God. And he suddenly puts in a request to see the full glory of the Lord. It's like, full frontal, baby. That's what Moses wants, that pervert. It turns out that God is a bit shy, though. Maybe he's got a small willy. Or he puts it another way. He replies that no mere mortal can look upon his face and live. Holy shit, you're some Medusa right now. But he does agree to play a little saucy game of peekaboo with his good buddy. God instructs Moses to stand by a rock and wait for him to come strolling by. But God covers Moses' eyes until he's walked right past him. Only then does God remove his mighty hand and allow Moses to gaze upon the full glory of the Supreme Being's backside, possibly giving a cheeky little wiggle as he wanders off into the distance. This encounter has often been interpreted in a way that suggests God is more than happy to moon Moses. Sounds exactly right. But the holy face is clearly more sacred than the holy arse, and I'm not sure if Moses was entirely satisfied with this arrangement, but at least it gave him an interesting anecdote to share at dinner parties. Yeah, I've seen actual God's butt. I've seen the butt of actual God. And these days people would be like, oh, Jesus, Moses, lay off the meth.
Is it crack? Is that what you smoke? Do you smoke crack?
What was God hiding, though? I think it's entirely plausible that God was only willing to be viewed from the back so that nobody could tell he was actually wearing an Ask Me About My Pyramid Scheme t-shirt. Yes, I wish I was wearing the appropriate shirt today, but I'm not. We've got a t-shirt that says Ask Me About My Pyramid Scheme. It's very popular for some reason. Either people enjoy the joke or they're running pyramid schemes, which would be disappointing. Pass the salt, darling. Finally, at last. One of the weirdest stories to ever make the final cut of the Bible involves Lot and his unfortunate wife. Whenever we say finally or something like that, I can just hear Sam in his little edit room, wherever he is, you know, at his desk. And he's just like, oh, finally.
What?
Lot was another guy who was quite pally with God for a while, and by wherever he is, I mean in the basement, obviously. After settling down to a nice pad in the city of Sodom with his wife and 2 daughters, Lot bumps into 2 angels who appear to be at a bit of a loose end, so Lot generously invites them round to his place for tea and cupcakes. According to the book of Genesis, it all goes a bit pear-shaped, though. Word gets around the wicked city of Sodom that Lot's family are playing host to a couple of angels, and it's not too long. I'm not expecting any deliveries.
Is my in a box? It's in a box.
Don't invite angels to your house. The lesson is clear. There's no need to go to that Ask Jesus website. Word gets round the wicked city of Sodom and Lot's family are playing host to a couple of angels, and it's not long before a pack of vile criminals are banging on the door and demanding to rape them both. Holy shit. Bible, what's up? That's what happens when angels come to visit. It's like a bunch of people together, let's go around and rape them. Holy shit.
It's an angel!
It's an angel!
It's an angel! It's an angel!
It's an angel!
So, Lot is so desperate to avoid the scenario being played out under his own roof that he offers up his own 2 virgin daughters and pleads with the gang to rape them instead of the angels. Lot, you're a terrible father. I'll be like, rape those angels, I guess. I mean, I'll do what I can to stop the raping, but I'm not going to offer up my own f***ing family. You smoking crack, Lot?
Is that what you smoke?
Lot's going to be, Jesus is going to reward him, or God's going to reward him in some way. This is Old Testament, right? Must be. It's too crazy for New Testament. And God's going to be like, you did the right thing. And everyone else will be like, what the f***, Lot? Yeah, you're going to have a great time in heaven. But while you're on earth, everyone's going to be like, dude, what the f***, mate? Angels aren't even real. But the nasty mob aren't interested in Lot's daughters and decline the offer. At this point, the angels use their heavenly powers to blind the rapists. Oh yeah, well... Flashbang. Why didn't you just do that at first, angels? Why were you like waiting and just to see if Lot will do it? Psychos. Before calling for a bit of extra backup via the emergency hotline to heaven. Word comes from above that God is so angry about the threat of his angels getting defiled that he has decided in his infinite wisdom to raze the entire city of Sodom to the ground. That feels a bit unnecessary. Just kill all the rapists. You're God. Just look into people's brains and see if they're rapey. And then kill them all. I mean, it's not, why do you have to raze the whole city? Then poor Lot and everyone else is going to be like, I don't have a house, do I, God? What the f***?
Lord works in mysterious ways. Yep.
In fact, not just Sodom, he decides to burn down the neighboring cities of Gonorrhea. Nah, it's Gomorrah, isn't it? It's not Gonorrhea. Admar and Zeboim while he's at it. Zeboim?
Bababoy.
But he spares the 5th city of Zor, just so that Lot and his family have somewhere to seek refuge. Why didn't you just kill all the rapists? Look into their minds! You're Jesus, you're God! And Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, according to one of the branches of Christianity, right? It's very confusing. The angels inform Lot's family that they must flee Sodom immediately to escape the carnage, but they advise them not to look back for a second. And so Lot, his wife, and 2 daughters head off in the direction of Zor as God rains down a vengeance of fire and brimstone on the other 4 cities. And all the other innocent people who aren't rapists, which I'm just going to say is probably the majority, are like, what the fuck? What the fuck, God? I'm going to turn into one of the religions that doesn't believe in you, like Hindus. Or the guys who believe in the pasta thing. What the fuck?
It became personal with me.
However, Lot's wife makes the mistake of looking back, and so God turns her into a pillar of salt. Oh my God, God. Could you dick on this poor guy Lot more than you already have? He seems just to be this perfectly nice guy who invites some angels around for tea, some rapists come round, he makes a big sacrifice for you. Because, I mean, he's a terrorist. Lot is obviously a complicated character of many layers. Which is surprising. I mean, it's rare, you know. In a book as crazy as the Bible, it's strange to have so many layers for an obviously fictional character. It's not clear why Lot's wife chose to look back or why God chose, I don't know, probably because God is like blowing up a city from the sky. If someone was like, yo, Simon, check out that neighboring town. Why? Well, God is going to destroy it. And I'll be like, bullshit. But I'd definitely be watching, and then it'd be awesome. And then I'll be turned into a pillar of salt. But obviously she looked, because it was going to be fucking awesome.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
or why God chose such an unusual punishment on his mate's missus. One interpretation is that she was wistfully looking back at the city of sin that she secretly loved. The opposing interpretation is that she was hoping to catch a glimpse of the criminals getting their just desserts. It's also been speculated that God was ashamed of his own extreme actions and didn't want anyone to witness him destroying the 4 cities in a fit of rage. It's possible that Lot's wife would have recognized that arse anywhere. Meanwhile, Jewish teachings have come to the conclusion that it was all the fault of Lot's wife in the first place. Of course it was. It wasn't anything to do with the rapists or God himself. She didn't have any salt in the house when the angels first popped round for tea, so she had asked her neighbours if she could borrow a few pinches and inadvertently alerted the city to the presence of angels in the hood. Wait, why you don't need... You borrow sugar? You're putting salt in the tea? What's up?
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit!
So the punishment was deemed entirely appropriate. Now it all makes sense. Good job she hadn't run out of toilet roll. The weirdness didn't end after Lot and his 2 daughters eventually arrived in Zor. The daughters reasoned that their dad was getting on a bit now and probably wouldn't be able to find a new wife to replace the one that had got so carelessly turned into a pillar of salt. So they conspired to get him absolutely plastered out. Oh, I know this story. This is the famously creepy Bible one. Every night, and then take it in turns to go and have sex with him. The Bible, everybody! Both the daughters get pregnant and end up giving birth to the founders of 2 great dynasties, the Moabites and the children of Ammon. I'm not sure if that counts as a happy ending, but it's one we've got to work with. It's not weird. Here's something to chew over, though. The Bible recorded that Lot's wife had been turned into a pillar of salt, so surely somebody must have witnessed this event. But if the witness had also turned back to see the fate of Lot's wife, why weren't they also turned into a pillar of salt? God knows. Literally. He does. He knows. Epilogue. Provocation. St. Peter was impatiently drumming his fingers on his desk as I finished rattling through. Oh my god, yeah, Danny at the beginning. This is all part of Danny's story that he's telling to St. Peter. I'd entirely forgotten. Rattling through some of the Bible's greatest hits, he said, "Yes, pal, it's all very well pulling things out of context. Any decent story involving a talking donkey or 100 foreskins is going to sound a bit strange out of bloody context. The problem with your sort is that you've never taken the time to really understand the Bible. And this all sounds to me like a lame excuse for not following the word of God."
The Bible? This is the Bible.
I mean, yes, in retrospect, if you're up in heaven, you'd be like, shit, I guess I was wrong. Bugger. But obviously, you're not. And after you die, it's just an endless nothingness. I always like the example of, you remember the Tudors? Remember the Tudors? It's like, of course you don't remember the Tudors because you weren't alive. It's like that, but afterwards. After your death, that is, just nothing forever. I pointed out that God came across as one of the most unlikable characters in the whole book, and that even Satan has a bit more going for him. Holy Daddy, you're definitely going to hell.
No one believes in me. Everyone put their money on Satan. My father forsake me, the town forsake me. I'm completely forsook.
Although Satan may be like, welcome friends, yes. I always assumed that naughty Satan spent most of his time smashing things up, or plotting the end of mankind, or demanding the blood of virgins, or getting up to equally devilish deeds. But within the pages of the Bible, he doesn't so much as say, boo to a donkey. Unless I skipped too many pages, it seems that the most controversial thing Satan ever gets up to is to attempt to dissuade mankind not to just blindly obey the word of God. And that doesn't seem entirely unreasonable, bearing in mind that God appears to be a tantrum-prone dictator who demands adoration while flooding the earth and destroying almost every living creature, enslaving his chosen people for 400 years and randomly killing his most loyal followers. Again, the Bible, everybody! Satan just appears to be suggesting that there might be another way. He probably just needs somebody to knock together a quick pamphlet outlining the manifesto. OGBB. St. Peter shook his head in disbelief. I'm not having this, and I'm not eating my own wings either. The best you could do... Peter, you went back on your word, dick. The best thing I could do for you today is pretend that none of this ever happened and send you back to the lands of the living. Maybe have another look at the Bible when you're down there, buddy. As I slowly melted away from the pearly gates, I could hear St. Peter grumbly muttering to himself, bloody YouTubers, I bet they wouldn't dare make a video about the Quran. This video, no, he's probably right. Because, reasons. This has been an episode of Business Blaze. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do smash that like button. Obviously, it's going to be a higher than normal dislike percentage on this video because religion. Yes, go to purchasethemerch.co and buy a t-shirt. Why not? And thank you for watching. Okay, I gotta go back and read it. Okay, I gotta go back and read it.